Okay, everybody, I'm here to give like a last little discussion slash preview of the matchups of Alabama versus Auburn tomorrow, and then I'm going to give a prediction video right after this, so be on the lookout for that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the offensive lines in the matchups against the defensive line a little bit uh, before I get into the prediction and all those good things. So this year, if you haven't noticed, and it can be easy not to because Auburn doesn't get as much airtime, as much publicity, but their offensive line has been pretty good this year. Their run blocking has been amazing. Pro Football Focus has rated them number two, I believe, in run blocking. They have guys like Robert Leaf and Alex Kozan and Braden Smith and Austin Golson, of course, moving to center has really solidified their line. They made that change about in the middle of the season. And what that has done is has allowed them to be so consistent on their interior running game, specifically from the center to the right guard, and to the right tackle, which would be Austin Golson, uh, Braden Smith, and Robert Leaf. And that side has been really, really good, and they just work really well together as a unit. And Auburn typically does a great job of coaching up their offensive line. So that has really been like the catalyst for their success this year. And they're going to attempt to establish running against Alabama. If you don't know, Auburn is a team that likes to use the spread offense, hurry up spread offense to establish the running game, which is why they've been so successful with having a big bruising tailback like Cameron Petway in a spread scheme running downhill. And they're going to attempt to spread Alabama out and run the ball on them. And then when Alabama tries to focus on run, they're going to attempt to take advantage of that and throw the ball. That's what they do. That's how they have success. Uh, the matchup they're going to have to deal with, though, is Alabama's defensive line, which is the best in the nation. Alabama has guys like Dalvin Tomlinson, Deron Payne, who is probably one of the best nose tackles in the nation. And you got Jonathan Allen, not to mention that our outside linebackers who usually are there for pass rush, they hold up against the run pretty well with guys like Ryan Anderson and Tim Williams getting much better at holding up against the run. So Auburn's going to have to be that's going to be matchups. Jonathan Allen's going to be against the left tackle. Deron Payne is going to square off against Austin Golson and Alex Kozan quite a bit. Uh, Dalvin Tomlinson is going to be up against Braden Smith, and every once in a while Robert Leaf, but usually Leaf will be battling either Tim Williams or Ryan Anderson, depending on which formation Alabama goes to. If Alabama plays base, Tim Williams will be on Leaf, and Ryan Anderson will be on the left tackle while Jonathan Allen shades in a little bit. But usually when Alabama runs nickel, we use one outside rushing linebacker. So it'll be probably Tim Williams on Robert Leaf or Ryan Anderson on Robert Leaf. So look out for that matchup. The question is, will Auburn be able to run the ball on Alabama against that defensive front? That is the question. Uh, Specifically, can they wear down Alabama running the ball? As we all know, Alabama doesn't have as much depth running the ball this year as they've had in previous, not running the ball, defending the run with our defensive linemen this year as we had in previous years, specifically last year when we had the 2 or 3 platoons that we would send in going against each rusher, each situation when we would play spread teams. We have guys, but it's not that same level of consistency as last year. When we bring in Joshua Frazier, Anthony Jennings, and the back of Deshaun Hand and all these guys, they're not the same level of force as the first team guys. So the question is, how long or can Auburn wear down Jonathan Allen, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Deron Payne? So that's going to be something to look out for. In the past, protecting. Auburn has protected their quarterback pretty well. As I said in my first preview video, Auburn has given up even less sacks to their quarterback than Alabama has. They've only given up 18 all year, and they do pretty well in pass blocking. Now, the issue is they haven't seen a front like Alabama's, per se. You got Tim Williams and Ryan Anderson, who are both the outside linebacker pass rushing specialists, and Jonathan Allen, of course, who's a great technician with his hands with pass rushing, so he's going to be battling their guys. Tim Williams on Robert Leaf, look at that when they try to pass the ball. But the thing is, Auburn likes to do short to intermediate passes, and they're going to attempt to get the ball out of their hand quickly to get Alabama off balance. So will the pass rush get there to affect the quarterback before he has a chance to set up in a rhythm? Now, on the flip side, with Auburn's defense against Alabama's offensive line, it's going to be a similar issues there with Alabama's offensive line being pretty good this year. if not slightly inconsistent on the interior running game. But of course, from left to right, we got Cam Robinson, Ross Pierce-Baker, Bradley Bozeman, and right guard is in flux. But right now, Corey Curvin, right tackle Jonah Williams, a true freshman sensation. Now, in the matchup before, I talked about Carl Lawson and Marlon Davidson, the defensive ends. Carl Lawson will be going up against Cam Robinson, so it's like uh, future NFL draft picks versus future NFL draft pick on the left side. That's going to be fun to watch to see how much they go against each other. But one of the more interesting matches of which won't get as much publicity is Jonah Williams, the right tackle for Alabama, going against Marlon Davidson, the defensive end or freshman defensive end. So it's freshman against freshman. So on one end you got draft pick versus draft pick, and you got freshman versus freshman on the other side, the bookend talent. And so you'll see if Auburn can pressure Alabama. If they can get to Jalen Hurts, they will have to go through Cam Robinson and Jonah Williams. Now on the inside, Montravius Adams has been a beast for Auburn, the defensive tackle. He has been causing a lot of havoc for offenses. So look out for how Bozeman, Curvin, and Pierce-Baker try to handle Montravius Adams and the other defensive tackle, of course. So that will be something to see how Alabama responds, because this Auburn defensive front is the best defensive front that Alabama's played. Now, also, the same statement I had to make for Alabama, I had to make for Auburn, but even more so, Auburn doesn't have as much depth on the defensive line as well. And so, issue is, can Alabama wear them down? And if they get worn down, can Auburn provide players who can step in and, continue the consistent level of play that their first defensive line had? So that offensive and defensive line matchup for both teams is going to be vital to the success of both of these teams and whether or not they win. In terms of quarterbacks, of course, Jalen Hurts is healthy and Alabama's rolling with him. Auburn is still not quite settled on who they're going to have start, because they're not letting the media know, and I doubt they will. It's probably be a game time decision about which quarterback they're going to play, because they don't want to give it away. They don't want to say that Sean White's hurt or that they are reluctant to put in Johnson or John Franklin III. But as I said before, Sean White gives us the best opportunity to beat Alabama, because he's a more effective passer and he can get the defense off balance. So if Sean White doesn't play, that's going to spell trouble for Auburn. So we have to see who wins. Not see who wins, see who they put in. I forgot to talk about Carlton Davis, who is Auburn's other defensive back. Josh Hosey has played lights out this year as one cornerback for Auburn, but Carlton Davis has also played pretty well. They're tied for the team lead with 10 pass breakups. So their secondary is also pretty good, but they're not as good as Alabama's secondary, which has more interceptions than it has passing touchdowns allowed. That's an incredible stat. Listen to that. More interceptions than passing touchdowns allowed. So while Auburn's secondary is not bad, Alabama's is better. But with the passing game of Alabama not being as strong, their Auburn defensive backs, let's say they have an intriguing matchup, to say the least, if they're able to somehow take Jalen Hurts and get in his head. So those are just some of the things I want to talk about. So you got Calvin Ridley on Josh Hosey, more than likely Ardarius Stewart on Carlton Davis, Rudy Ford, the Auburn nickelback, against whoever Alabama places in the slot, which changes throughout the game. We may put Ridley there, Ardarius there, maybe Garrett Eater comes in. Cam Sims has been playing a lot lately, which is a really, really, really good mismatch because he's so tall and fast. So that's going to be fun to watch. How well can the Auburn DBs keep up with the Alabama wide receivers, and how will Lane Kiffin attack this Auburn defense? That's a good question as well. So that's something to look out for. I already talked about it, but Alabama has an elite All-American punter. Auburn has the elite All-American kicker. We lost our return man with Eddie Jackson going down. Auburn still has theirs. So the special teams is going to be really interesting if that plays a big part in this match, which more than likely it will. So Alabama, Adam Griffith, he gets a lot of flack. He's missed 6 kicks this year, but he's also made 14. So, yeah, I think that is mainly what I want to talk about regarding matchups. Jeremy Pruitt has experience playing Auburn. He was the defense coordinator for Florida State when they beat Auburn in the national championship game. He's done a really good job of getting this defense playing against spread, I think, even better. as we continue to progress. So, all in all, those are some of the things I want you guys to look out for, as I'll be watching them as well. So, until my prediction video, thanks for listening, guys.